Don't tell your dad, I watched a little boy win at life today. I was the customer in line at the checkout, and the cashier was ringing me out when a family, mom, dad and a 7-year-old boy, pulled up behind me. Dad immediately wandered away while mom started loading her groceries on the conveyor belt. After she loaded a few things, she turned to the boy and said, "You were really good today, would you like to pick out a chocolate?" The boy got super happy, grabbed a Kinder Egg and put it on the conveyor belt. Mom then tells him, "Don't tell your dad." Dad comes back and mom says she forgot something, so dad continues loading the belt while mom walks away. Dad then turns to his son and says, "You were really good today, would you like to pick out a chocolate?" I have never in my life seen a kid look so happy. He picks another Kinder Egg and puts it on the belt. Sure enough, Dad then says, "Don't tell your mom." I didn't say anything to ruin this kid's wonderful 2-chocolate day, but I had a good chuckle walking out of there.
Whenever my mom took me grocery shopping with her, she'd let me pick out a donut from the bakery. If I was good for the rest of her shopping, she'd let me eat it in the car on the way home. At the register, after paying for it, she'd hand it to me and ask, "And what do we tell Dad?" And I'd say nothing. And she'd give me the donut and say, "That's right, unless he asks." We don't lie.
My husband's mom likes to sneak him money. Like $20 here and there. It's hilarious because she goes to some strange extremes to do it. She's asked my husband to cut a branch off a tree because she knew her husband, his dad, would fuss the whole time he was doing it and would follow him outside. Then as soon as the door shut behind them, she ran to the closet where her secret stash of cash is and told me to put it in my purse before my Phil came back inside. The thing is, my Phil knows she does it, lol. There has been a few times where they're at our house and my husband and Mill will be talking quietly and my Phil will deliberately turn his back to them and whisper to me, "She's going to sneak him money. Pretend you're talking to me so she thinks I don't notice." I love my in-laws. Kid wants to scan his own toy. This happened a few weeks ago, and I just remembered about it, so the details might be a little fuzzy, but I'll write this as best as I can. Despite the title, this is actually a happy story. So I work at a grocery store that also sells body care and various gifts and toys around the holiday seasons. It was Easter, I believe. Our grocery store closes at 10 o'clock every day, and around 9:30, there aren't a lot of people in the store. This dad comes up with his son, around 6 or 7, and starts loading his groceries. He places the toy that is obviously for the son behind another barrier that separates people's groceries. After I had scanned all of the dad's items and he had paid, the son, who was barely able to look over the edge of the counter, asked me very politely if he could scan his toy by himself. There was no customers behind them, and he asked so politely that I was like, "Fuck it," and invited him behind the counter. I told him to step up on the ledge where we put go backs, so he could see better. I showed him how to scan the toy, and after his dad paid for the toy, he left a happy kid. TL Dr. Kid wanted to scan his own toy, was polite, so I let him. Edit, this thing blew up in the 8 hours of my shift. I didn't do it for the praise or something, I did it because the kid was cute and he said please.
You probably made that kid's week.
It's funny how much further you get with politeness than screaming. Maybe that ought to be a t-shirt.
The kid's going to remember what you did for him a lot longer than he remembers what toy he scanned. You rock.
After his dad paid for the toy, he left a happy kid. So is the kid still there scanning everyone's items, but at least he's happy.
I work at a hardware/home improvement store, and a lot of times kids come through with their parents and they are miserable. I mean so bored and upset that they're in a hardware store full of boring adult things like cabinets and water heaters. But then they see the self-checkout has a scan gun, scan wand, and some of these kids go over the moon. I had one kid with his grandfather and they needed help because they were paying with store credit and I had to verify the buyer's identity. I let the kid scan my badge, punched in my PIN myself, then let the kid scan and code in every card, 5 in total, and I hit the accept visual ID button. The kid was so happy that he got to scan the card, and even if it took longer, it was so cute.
Cashiers are not interested in your daily life. So I work at college campus in a store. This one regular comes in. She always talks my ear off and I try to be polite. But apparently she realized my disinterest. So she's at the register. C is customer. Me is me. C, so there's this guy, but I have a boyfriend, are you listening? Me, I nod as I am scanning her items. C, I'm sorry for ruining your day. Me, sorry ma'am, I just don't do gossip while at work. C, it's not gossip. Me, would you like your receipt? C, sure. She leaves and comes back and finds me while I'm stocking. C, do you have a problem with me? You're always rude to me. Me, no ma'am, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to come off that way, thank you for bringing it to my attention. C, well you're being rude and you need to be nicer if you're working here. Me, I'm sorry ma'am. She leaves and comes back again and asks to speak to the manager, so I get them. But the manager said to not worry about it, but like, believe it or not, people, customer service employees don't give a damn about your life.
It varies. There's a nice old Mexican lady that comes in when I'm working the closing shift. She calls me mijo and talks about her cats and stuff. It's a lot better than standing there staring at the clock after I've already faced up everything within reach.
One of my customers, about 70 years old, told me he passed out on the side of the road. I tried to be sympathetic and asked if the doctors could help. He told me he has PTSD. Then I nodded sadly and wished him well. Then he continued to tell me how he saw a baby get shot in the head, so he faints when anxious now. I continued to nod and say I'm so sorry. Then he continued to tell me how his girlfriend doesn't understand his disorder and how she doesn't treat him right. I continue quietly nodding and trying to change the subject. Then he continues to tell me how effed up he is and how he needs a better girl. Then he starts hitting on me and telling me how my boyfriend should treat me. I'm single but didn't say anything, for about 10 more minutes. Then he told me I was a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow and left. Phew, what roller coaster that was.
I have worked at a convenience store off and on for 9 years. The amount of very personal things people have told me is astounding. I also don't care about any of it, and having to stand there and listen kills me. Especially if I have a line of other people who just want to buy their stuff and get out.